Hey everybody, and welcome to Lunacy. Today on the program is part 2 of our podcast on marijuana, Mary Jane, Santa Maria, the sticky icky, the weedy, you know what I mean? That pot skis, man. We're talking about marijuana or Santa Maria as a sacred plant medicine and how to utilize this medicine in a more ceremonial and intentional fashion in our lives. This is part 2 of the program, and it kicks off with Aluna Lua describing her introduction to marijuana in a ceremonial way during an ayahuasca ceremony. Enjoy the program. Much love.
So I want to share a story of the day that I felt Santa Maria. Like I understood why they called the Mother of Jesus, the Mother of Jesus in the ceremony, right?
In the ayahuasca ceremony.
Yeah, in Santo Daime.
Okay. Uh-huh.
So we're in the circle, and they divide the chairs in a way that the women is in one side and the men are in the other side. So they're separate. And you don't have that cozy seat like we have here that you bring all your blankets and all your backpack with all of your pillows. It's actually just a plastic chair that you sit the whole time.
Yeah.
And the ceremonies are very long. They can be 12 hours, 16 hours, like crazy long. Anyways, I remember sitting in these chairs and just feeling like, oh my God, I'm so exhausted. I can't wait for this to be over. Like, no, enough. I was so tired. And then they go and they pass the joint. Like, okay, now is the Santa Maria time. And I'm like, okay, I'm so tired. I don't even like being here anymore at this point. I'm literally falling asleep in this chair. But fine. So I smoke the weed. And then you have the book, and the book has the lyrics of the songs.
Mm-hmm.
And the intention of the whole ceremony is that everybody is singing and following the songs.
Yeah.
It's encouraged. If you're not singing too much, they're going to change you to another spot. They want the currency of the song to be always active. And I couldn't follow the songs. I was tired, you know? It's like, damn, how does people do that? They sing all day like that.
Yeah.
So I smoked the weed and I just remember looking at the book and starting to follow the song. That took me to a place that I completely forgot who I was. I went to a trip in which the music was being channeled in my head, like the music that everybody was singing. As I'm looking at the lyrics, I know the song and I knew how to sing perfectly.
Wow.
Like if I was singing for my whole life.
And you hadn't heard it before?
No.
Oh, okay.
And it's one after the other. So suddenly I know the entire book.
Huh.
And I'm like enjoying it, deep, following the song like if I was in the front seat next to the guitar player.
Yeah.
And that made me feel so good. That the experience of singing those songs and the lyrics are so deep, and all the realizations that come through with the lyrics of the song and the sound of your voice. It's like it put me to a trance state that when I actually opened my eyes and remember who I was in another seat. So they changed me to a different seat. They put me on the first row.
Oh, damn, girl. Up in the front row in the Santo Daime house.
So I'm in the first row with
it's actually
all
a really
the
big deal
musicians.
For anybody who knows.
With all the musicians. I didn't sing before.
Okay.
Now I sing, but at that time, I didn't consider myself a singer at all. So when I realized I'm in the first row, singing with everybody, being part of the band, and open my eyes, there's like a boom, like a statue of her, Santa Maria, right in front of me.
Mother Mary.
As I look at her, that's when the breakthrough came. That's when I understood. It's like, oh, I communicated with her, and then she completely opened up my flow state.
Wow.
And my creativity channel, my voice.
You mean like for good?
For good, forever.
Oh, wow. Okay. I was just making sure. For like 2 minutes, I could sing, and I was creative, and then I went back. No, it just opened it up. That's good. Wow, really?
That was it. That opened my voice. I started to sing. I sing these songs until this day.
Wow.
That opened my my creativity channel. That opened my firmeza. They call it firmeza.
Yeah. Firmness.
Firmeza is the firmness of
Mhm.
being in a ceremony and keeping with the vibration of like presence. I'm here, I'm singing the song, I'm part of the currency, I'm not just on my own going somewhere else. Like, I'm present with what's happening. That's a skill to be developed.
For sure.
That she taught me that.
Hmm.
She taught me how to get on the trance of the music. She taught me how to open and use my voice so that I could be so present and part of the currency that I even forgot who I was.
Amazing. That's a great story. And in fact, so I've done some Santo Daime work with my group. We do like a few songs every time and whatnot. And I actually did one work that was like through a whole book of songs. And I'm reading in Portuguese, which I'm not that great at. It was very challenging for me, although a few of them really rang through. But there's also the English is printed on the other page.
Mm-hmm.
And I always read it either before we start or after. And I mean, it's super deep shit. The songs are not, it's not like, I'm gonna let it shine. It's like, even though that's great too,
Deep.
that's a great song. Super deep, like cosmic birther type shit. You know what I mean? Really like getting into what is the nature like of reality and asking for protection and guidance and like looking at yourself as being responsible. There's a lot of really profound teachings in so many of those songs. So that's great. It's really impressive that they threw you into the front row and that
It's
you opened your voice. That you
definitely
sang
very
after
different to enjoy the experience as an English speaker. I totally understand. You won't relate as deep to the music, but I think I'm sharing this story just so people understand that the firmness of life comes from the body. It's like you have to be in your body. You have to be singing. You have to be moving. You have to be breathing so that you can get into a flow state to open the creative channels, to open these healing channels. It's in the body. The firmness is the coordination of being in the body. And that's what Santo Daime is about. You're singing, you're playing the shake shake. At the same time, you're breathing and having your journey all happening at the same time. So that builds up this firmness that we get to carry in life and get to be in stressful situations without reacting crazy or losing our shit, and being able to build that resistance of the ups and downs of life with that feminine touch that everything can be graceful, everything can be joyful, everything can be beautiful.
Wow, that's really amazing. What a beautiful reflection on Santo Daime in general. Cool. Yeah. And I also, what I think is the most fascinating thing for me about that story is that you started singing after that, because I'm a singer. I love to sing. And I know how it's like a very spiritual practice for me when I sing. There's so many times that when I'm practicing, I'm really singing to, God or my dad or whatever, nature. I feel like people are listening. It's real for me, but it's also like a real deep way for me to connect. I like to say we're singing all the time anyway. Right now you and I are singing. I'm going up and down with my voice and etc. And here we are. And now we're, so to raise your voice in prayer, especially, is so powerful. It's so powerful, particularly in a ceremony. But also, I just would encourage people, like if you're going to do your own shindig, find some songs that you like to sing, or just sing. Just do some vocal toning, like go out and just vocalize and see where it goes. Yeah.
I have a song for Santa Maria. Can I sing it?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay. Sou devoto de Santa Maria, pois a Santa Maria me criou. Desde quando entrou em minha vida, ó Santa Maria, só traz amor, desde quando entrou em minha vida. Ó Santa Maria, só traz o amor. I'm devoted to Mother Saint Mary, 'cause Saint Mary raised and took care of me. Since when I've received her in my life, oh my Mama Mary, you gave me your life. Viva Santa
Wow.
Maria!
Viva. Woo! Amazing. That was amazing. Your song is so beautiful. I really want to praise your voice. It's so sweet and authentic and pure, and you're just putting it out there. And the lyrics are so sweet and beautiful. I know you sang them in English. Do you want to just say them in English to us?
So this song I wrote when I had an ayahuasca experience that I also smoked weed.
Uh-huh.
And it was me and a friend together, and we drank all these ayahuasca, and I realized that the bottom of the ayahuasca was all in the bottom of the bottle.
Oh,
so we
boy.
drank this whole thing, but everything was in the bottom. And then when we realized, I'm like, we've been taking all this ayahuasca for a long time, like nothing is hitting. And then I realized it was all in the bottle. So when in the bottle of the bottle,
The bottom of the bottle.
the bottom of the bottle.
Yeah.
So when we realized that and we had it, and then I was like, oh, it's not hitting us, let's smoke weed.
Uh-huh.
And then everything just hit immediately all at once. And when I realized, I was holding my friend on my lap like if he was my baby.
Uh-huh.
And I don't even have kids, okay? Suddenly, this man is my baby, and I'm the Mother Mary, saying the most beautiful things. I can't even repeat it, but I'm literally like speaking some Bible shit, talking to him about the life and this and my baby and my Jesus.
Huh.
It just completely happened. And in that moment, I even felt like, oh, I feel like it's not even me. I feel like I'm being embodied, like there's a spirit embodied in my body. And I felt so good about it. I felt so good. I'm like, you know what? I'm down.
Okay.
Like if there's a spirit here, and I wanted to come over and I wanted to work through my body.
Mm-hmm.
And when I said yes, all these wisdoms started to come out of my body, and of my voice and my words. I was speaking in Portuguese. I didn't even speak in English. So my friend doesn't even speak Portuguese. He was like, yes, understanding everything.
Wow.
And we had the most amazing Jesus moment in my life.
Okay.
That song came through, and the reason of this song is to understand that which is the divine feminine, is present not only as our mother. It's like the feminine archetype is your mother, is your wife, is your goddess, is your sisters, is the divine feminine that's present. And it's all the same spirit. It's all the same spirit. That love that we look for the mother is the same, purity of the love that we want to cultivate our own family.
Yeah.
So it was this realization.
Wow.
So the song talks about, I'm devoted to Saint Mary because Saint Mary raised me and took care of me. Since when I've received her in my life, oh my Mama Mary, you gave me your light. Through her child, she holds all the earth, enlightening the path that he walks, supporting the mission, the vision he brings. Oh, Goddess Saint Mary, just open his wings. So the feminine opens the masculine wings. So when he blows the sacred smoke of the spirit, which is cannabis, to honor and receive the Holy Ghost, the mother comes back as his love. Oh, my wife, Saint Mary, you are my beloved.
Wow. That is super deep and pretty.
Is deep. So the spirit of your mother is what brought the spirit of your wife to your life. They're connected.
Yes, even though none of us like to think about it.
As you heal one, you heal the other.
That's true, actually. I did want to kind of address a little bit of sometimes people have troubled with their relationship, some pitfalls, if you will, of the relationship with Santa Maria. Okay. Speaking from my own experience, Lua, you know what I mean? I have had some. Some of those had to do with drinking. You know what I mean? I would drink and then I'd smoke. And well, that kind of opens you up to all kinds of characters, different weird things. And, typically you just feel real terrible the next day. That was my experience. I was doing that pretty often and then unable to having trouble functioning the next day in large part because I was increasing my toxicity level, which is something that you mentioned. There's can be a tendency to eat a lot. That's munchies kind of a thing. So you can do that. You can also abstain from doing that, and you could do things to, mitigate that, like drinking kombucha or something.
Mm-hmm.
There can be a spirit for me of like getting me off track of things and not being on target. And so, as you were pointing out, it's like you got to give yourself permission to just go over wherever the medicine takes you and be open to that. Also, there is a way when you feel like you're getting off track to re-engage, to stop and say, okay, wait, I really want to focus. Please help me focus on this particular thing, getting these lyrics out for this verse, whatever it is that I'm up to in the moment. And so, yeah, I would suggest, I just wanted to address that. Like, don't go mixing it like crazy with other medicines. Like really give her own space, Santa Maria, her own space. And again, I think really be moderate. And that's what works for me, is being moderate in my usage and acknowledging it, letting anybody I'm with know,
Mm-hmm.
provided they're accepting of this medicine, that's what's going on. I'm with Mother Mary right now. I'm with Santa Maria. That's really important. And really engaging more. I just want to encourage people and myself really to engage more with the healing energy of Santa
Mm-hmm.
Maria.
Mm-hmm.
Right now I'm just feeling a tremendous amount of peace and love. I feel really open. I feel like there's a lot of permission in my space to be who I am, where I am, how I am now. So I just want to spread that with everybody listening, regardless of whether or not you decided to imbibe during this episode, and regardless of whether or not you do, just that you have permission to be here. The reflective aspect of this medicine is so important. I was talking to Isis a couple episodes ago, and she was just saying it's so insane to even think that we are a spirit in a body and that we're moving around and that all these other spirits that are inside of us are helping to keep everything going, all of our organ systems and everything. And here we are. And so marijuana is a really great way to embrace and engage and look deeper into that great mystery. So I want to encourage all of us to do that because it's good for you. You know what I mean? I feel like it's real good. Falls into that know thyself category of things. You know what I mean? Get into who you really are on some pot.
Mm. I would
Mm-hmm.
say too that a big deal for me is if you've never sat in a cannabis ceremony, which is very rare,
Yeah.
It's like I created myself what I've always wanted. I got to experience the tradition there and got to truly like learn in the ways that they do it in Santo Daime. And then now in my life, I ended up creating these spaces for myself.
Yeah.
Even let's say the 420 that just happened. I've been to so many 420 events the last 10 years. And they're all super cool, but also, yeah, most of them are not sacred at all or don't have that spiritual aspect.
No, I've never been to one that had any of that.
So this year, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do my own 420 ceremony, and it's going to be during my retreat with my students. We did this whole prayer. We were detoxing our bodies with kambo, and then we did our integration with cannabis.
Wow.
It felt like we were in a church in a good way, like church vibes. Everyone talking to God, everyone in super high vibrational connection. And I've never experienced that before. And it was the most beautiful, like, open heart conversation and prayers that we got to have. And everybody was like, wow, I've never sat with this medicine that way. This was a whole different experience when we all praying together.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that when we experience something like that, when we experience in community, we're all honoring her together. We have our, what we're going to do. We're going to play music. Are we going to pray? Are we going to dance? Like, what is the practice that we are creating for our space? I think that sparkles us in such a way that when you're by yourself, smoking by yourself, the relationship will change.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you see the potential of like, whoa, this could actually be a very divine spiritual tool. And when other people are doing that, and then we feel that unconditional love, unconditional mother love that we all carry inside.
Mm-hmm.
And then your relationship with her on a daily basis will change. I do recommend taking breaks. I think every medicine needs break.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's going to be different for everybody. What is a break? What does it mean to take a break for you? But we all have to take breaks. If you smoke every day, have a couple days of the week that you don't.
Mm-hmm.
If you smoke a couple times a week, have like a week of the month that you don't. Create boundaries for yourself. Oh, I went to this event. I smoked a lot. Now let me take a few days off.
Yeah.
So that we don't rely on her. It's the same thing with tobacco, because if I only rely on her, let's say I love smoking weed to talk about business with my clients. It's like the coolest thing in the world. And after some time, I realized that when I wasn't smoking weed in my sessions, I was feeling distracted or, not being able to be so super in the vision.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, wait a second. The plant is just my teacher. I have to learn the lesson.
Right.
If I'm just constantly learning, studying, I'm never going to learn.
Yeah.
So I have to study, and then I have to practice on my own. Mm-hmm. So these creative gifts actually become embodied in ourselves. Oh, but if I smoke, I start channeling. I start making songs. Like, awesome. You can learn with her how to do that. But and then if you don't practice how to do that on your own, you're never going to fully learn. And then you're going to start relying on her. And then she's the reason of you being creative, of you being smart, of you knowing whatever. She's not the reason. She's a portal for yourself. It's all inside of us. So I highly recommend seeing the parts of us that we rely on her a lot, mm-hmm. and then experiences without it sometimes.
Yeah.
So you can create that balance.
Definitely. That's really great. Yeah. Because, the other thing is, like, addiction is real. And even though marijuana is not physically addictive, I know it can be emotionally addictive. For sure it was for me. And that's part of it. What you're saying is, like, that keeps you in right relation. Where if I feel like, oh, wow, I really want to smoke now. Why do I want to smoke right now? Well, ask yourself. Like, that's something I do, because I intentionally don't have it everywhere, right? Like, I won't have it in my car or whatever, so that it's not an option. But sometimes I'll be driving around and I'll think, I guess I really like to get high right now. Why? What's that about? Is it that, is it that you want to have like a spiritual experience, or is it just that you want to escape and not be annoyed by traffic and life for a minute? And it's important to recognize the impetus also, because if that is part of it, for me, I'm just speaking for myself here. If part of it is, I really want to escape, I really want to not think about my problems or my deadlines or the unresolved thing with so-and-so in my family or my relationship with my spouse or partner or whatever, like, I don't want to think about that, so I'm going to do this medicine. If that's part of the reason for me, it just makes it worse. It's very interesting that way. Again, just my personal experience. If it's an intentional thing where I'm like, okay, I'm going to use this medicine so that I can connect more with my partner, and she's going to know that we're doing that, well, that's a different story. But if it's that I want to escape X, Y, or Z, typically those things show up. For me, they they have a tendency, it doesn't make them better because I'm not trying to do right relationship. I'm just trying to numb myself out of that issue. And
Yes.
right.
Yes. And also I think like this, when some people, they are very grounded in the masculine aspect of themselves, in the doing.
Mm-hmm.
I even feel like that myself. I'm like doing, thinking, organizing, making decisions, all that part of us. So some people have that very activated, and they might be very organized, or they might be even successful financially. They have all their shit together.
Yeah.
But they don't play, they don't create, they might be
Mm-hmm.
socially awkward, they might feel lonely inside, they might have all these emotional issues and challenges because their feminine energy is not very open or activated.
Yeah.
So for these people, working with cannabis can really help
Mm-hmm.
to relax that part of the doing.
Yes.
And experience life on the being.
Yeah. That's great.
And if that's new for you, if you don't feel called to do this on your own, yes, to find the communities, to find the mentors, like when we get to have support in this relationship with all medicines. Cannabis is just like any other medicine, having a support system, a community, a friend, a mentor that you get to go through the breakthroughs that are coming through. Because, and then when I am on the being, I get all paranoid and worried that my thing is not being taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because that's a trauma there. There's healing to happen there. It's not just a thought.
Yeah.
It's like, let's work on that. What is the true issue of you not being able to be fully present?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then
Where's
for some
the
people,
wound
it's the
there?
opposite. For some people, it's the opposite. Like, I have one of my best friends. When I met him, all he wanted to do was to go to the parties, is to go to the coffee shops, is to hang out with his friends, to play music, and to eat food. That was all he wanted to do. And I'm like, bro, I need to make money. It's like, I got to figure out my life. Like, I want to be a responsible adult. I want to have things. I don't want to just like hang out and smoke weed every day and just pretend that life is not happening.
Mm-hmm.
So people like that, they might have a very hard time getting into discipline.
Yes.
Getting into a routine, making money, learning tasks that, risking, pushing themselves. Like, that's also a trauma response that we want to address. Like, okay, so let's see where in your life the masculine figure wasn't really a good example for you, that now you're not being able to tap into that part of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So cannabis for these people might not be a good idea all the time.
Right.
Because and then they're going to be in the feminine and just wanting to continue to be in that creative flow and not being able to take responsibilities.
Right.
So we want to be aware of that, like how the medicine can be helpful and it can be harmful for some people. I met so many trimmers and growers in Northern California that all they wanted to do was to get high and to, shop cool things, and, and I'm like, wow, this person has so much money. They have all these things that they cultivated in their lives, but all they do is to buy new stuff.
Right.
It's like they're not building their future. They're not like, I don't know, doing something cool. Like they're just enjoying whatever the present moment with superficial things. And I'm not judging that, but for me, I'm just seeing that an example of like, oh, I can have all this power. I can have all this feminine energy and all this abundance. But if I don't know how to manage and how to balance, that's not going to be beneficial for me or for people around me either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I judge those people. I'm judging them right now because I was one of those people. And I judged myself. And then I was like, okay, I'm not going to be that way anymore. I'm going to be the get it done guy. And then I altered my relationship. And by the way, I say that like to say that if that's you, judge yourself. It's okay to judge yourself. Like also have compassion for yourself. And like, I judge them, but I'm not like, they should be banished from the earth, throw them in the gulag, like No, man, I was you. I am you, and so like I get it. There was a time where I was like not getting stuff done, and marijuana wasn't really helping me focus. You know, it was harder for me to get things done, and I've altered my relationship with it. And one of the great things that I know for a fact, all right, and I can prove by my house is that my brother-in-law was in town for a couple weeks doing some landscape work, and he smokes every day, and so I was smoking with him, but we got so much done, it's insane. I got a staircase from railroad ties that I cut myself that's in the backyard. Like, I built a gate. You know, we moved all these giant boulders from all over our land into place. Like, it was a lot of work that we got done. And you know, we were also working with Santa Maria the whole time, but because I was setting an intention, you know, every time I would smoke some, and I was really thinking about it, connecting to the land and working with, you know, doing essentially art with the land, working with the land. It was a really exceptional experience. I just wanted to point that out because that's the difference for me in being in right relation and having intention and not trying to escape. And I think also, you know, in line with what you're pointing out, what I was saying also is like when I do want to escape, if I can flip it, you know, I can flip it and say, okay, how do I engage more instead, and start to use the energy of the medicine to investigate more deeply, you know, what's behind my wanting to escape. And sometimes there's going to be pain there. Like you said, you know, earlier we were talking, sometimes you get an argument with your partner, you smoke it, you start crying. I don't know if was that before we started?
No, yeah, it was here in this conversation. Yeah.
But it's recorded?
Yeah, I think
Okay,
so.
that's me being high. All right. You might experience memory issues. But yeah, I mean, there's, you know, you might find some emotion, and you know, if you do discover the wound, like, be with the wound, grieve the wound. It's actually a good medicine to just grieve with, you know, and be with, and just cry about it. You know, we have this weird relationship with grieving and crying and such, and it's the most healthy thing we could do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's why I'm going to make everyone cry right now. All right. Are you ready? Amazing grace. Okay. I'll stop. But really, you know, feel free to, this is also a good medicine to emote on. And, yeah. And so, you know, I wanted to ask you about that because that's one of the things that you do. That's one of your offerings, is that you work with people, you coach people. I believe, if I have this correctly, you coach people on whatever they want to be coached on, but you also work with Santa Maria as a medicine, and you also do integration coaching with people. So tell us a little bit about that, how that works, and how people can get in touch with you.
Yes. So I am a head coach of the Plant Spirit School, which is an online school to certify psychedelic integration coaches. And I got into integration more in depth the last few years, even though I've been doing medicine for 15 years. Integration is not something that indigenous people even talk about. They don't even know what that is.
Right.
And that's because they do their ceremonies and their sacraments, and they're with their community the whole time.
Yeah.
After a ceremony, they go plant some trees, they go make some food together, they go enjoy life together. So integration for them, it's a way of living.
Right. They're not going to get in the car to sit in traffic to go worry about all the bills and the emails that they have to pay, and the relationships with different people that they work with, and have family relationships and wounding and et cetera with. Yeah.
Exactly. So we get to have these transformative experiences and come back to our crazy lives, to the real default world, and don't get to have the space and the chance to actually process what came through in medicine work. Cannabis is something that's happening all the time, right? If you smoke by yourself here and there, you're constantly opening portals of trauma, healing, ideas, visions, but you're not processing them fully because you just keep it going.
Right.
So integration is really to make everything as a whole. The ceremony, the work with the medicine is a practice for life. So when we get to understand the lessons and process the traumas and embody this new way of living, this new beliefs, or new relationship with money, or new relationship with other people, is to incorporate your new way of being into your lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a pretty challenging thing to do because the world's pretty crazy.
Pretty crazy. Yep, it's
The
pretty
world's
insane,
pretty
guys.
crazy.
All
And
right.
sometimes you're like, wow, but I'm so spiritual. Why this is happening to me? Why, God? Why do I have to pay my bills? Why money could just disappear?
Yeah.
And we're just questioning the world. So integration is to really be able to walk this path, walk your talk, and to adapt the way we manage this world so we can make a difference.
Right.
So clients come to me wanting to deepen their work, especially with rapé and cannabis. This is the two medicines that people look for me the most, are medicines they want to cultivate the relationship on their own. They might want to be having already transformational experiences, but want to learn the culture, want to learn the rituals, want to process the breakthrough that comes along when we are holding these medicines. And so we talk about integration coaching. So in the Plant Spirit School, we teach people how to be integration coaches. Mm-hmm. So I love that. I love this world. And cannabis, it's a great tool that you get to work with it virtually, which is not every medicine we get to do that. Mm-hmm. And we also get to cultivate our own relationship with it. So some of my clients are creating their offerings, working on expressing themselves, of birthing projects in this world like Jade. Mm-hmm. And cannabis was a really great integration tool for her to work with her feminine energy, for her to birth this incredible project, this incredible course that she's birthing, to put all of her ideas together in a way that now it's a tangible product. Like, whoa, we get to experience Jade's breakthroughs and lessons through an experience.
Yeah.
So for some clients, that cannabis and tobacco and rapé can work really well to support us to go through what it takes to even birth a vision. Mm-hmm. And when we have a vision, it's very easy to imagine, but to execute, it requires a lot.
Yeah.
So people that want to work with these tools as their sacred teachers, we do integration together and mentorship together. Also, my clients are maybe already facilitating some ceremonies, maybe cacao, maybe breath work, or any other sort of healing modality. Mm-hmm. And they want to expand that facilitation, that working with the plants, and be able to bring more the safety, the harm reduction, trauma-informed care, which I'm also very passionate about, to expand the industry, the healing industry, not only the psychedelic industry, but the healing industry. Mm-hmm. If we all get to do our own work and get to be in right relationship with the medicines, the teachers, the spirits that we're working with, I think that's how we change the world, one person at a time.
Yeah, nice. That's awesome. I love it. All right, well, I'm sold. Sign me up. You know what I mean? Where do people go to? What's your I'll have it in the show notes. Also, there'll be like a link to your goodies. But where can people get in touch with you? What's the best way?
Yes, so you can follow me on Instagram. I am alunalua.angel. Find me there. I have a broadcast channel.
And that's ALUNA LUA dot Angel. ANGEL. Yeah.
Yes. I also have an email community in which I share content, resources, events, things that I'm offering and supporting my community with. I want to give a little gift for you to join my email list. I'll pass you, Jeff, the link.
Okay, cool. I'll put that in
there. I have a ceremony guide and I have a cannabis mastermind that I want to gift for those that want to learn more about the work with this medicine. This masterclass, I go in a lot of in depth of what that looks like.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
And I have my website too. We can check it out. There's not so much out there, but you can check me out there and stay in touch.
And that's alunalua.com.
alunalua.com.
Cool. Nice.
I have a few spots for private mentorship. I see a few students once a year. I open spots for that. So I have spots for that right now as well. If you're interested in connecting and private mentorship, feel free to reach out. I host many retreats here in California of many sorts of healing experiences and would love to stay in touch.
Beautiful. That's great. Yeah, I like your website. It's nice. Cool. So before I forget, because I'm not forgetting, look at this. All right. I remembered something. Watch out, world. You mentioned combo earlier, and I just wanted to, because not everybody's aware of what that medicine is. Combo is like the secretion of a sacred frog that's in the Amazon, and you burn some marks on the skin, and then you put it over those marks, and peptides go throughout your body, and they go after toxins, and then you purge. You either out your mouth or the other direction. There's no psychoactive effect. It's just super cleansing. And that also, by the way, that medicine has helped some friends of mine who were had been diagnosed with cancer or were back, going out of remission, then went back into remission. So really great medicine. But you mentioned that earlier, and then people smoked marijuana. I'm going to try that. That sounds great. I really am.
Yeah, we do that in the retreat because for me, in my work, detoxing the body is foundation. Mm-hmm. People come to me with all kinds of issues, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual.
Yeah.
And for me, we start with detoxing the body.
Mm-hmm.
I truly believe that resolves most of the problem.
It really does. Yeah.
Is to heal your body and take care of your basic needs.
Yeah.
So Kambo is my biggest ally for this path. It's really supported to clear the digestion system. I've seen miracles in front of me. I've been a Kambo practitioner for over a decade now. And I've seen people healing for all kinds of things.
What's the biggest miracle that you've seen?
One that comes to my mind right now is this friend of mine that she was 42 and she really wanted to get pregnant. Mm-hmm. And she was trying for years and she tried everything. And then she asked me, and I asked my teacher, and I'm like, hey, I know Kambo is good for fertility. What would you recommend for this lady? And my teacher said, I think she should work with Kambo 9 times in a month.
Wow, that's a lot.
Damn, that's a lot. And I told her, like, hey, this is what he suggested, that you can work with the medicine a lot, and that can really boost your hormone system. And she said yes.
Uh-huh.
And she did it 9 times.
Wow.
And she got pregnant.
Amazing. That is actually
pregnant.
pretty amazing.
A few months later, she has a healthy baby now. She's super happy. That was a miracle.
Yeah.
I had a client just now in our retreat that she was having these skin ashes for years. And then after the 3-day retreat, it was all completely gone. And her eyes was also more open. It even looked like she did like a certain surgery or something. When people just like pull the eye like this.
Oh, yeah. I know.
That's how it looked like. It was like whoa. It looks like you did a treatment on your eyes. It was just open and bright. She looked literally 10 years younger.
That's great. I'm going to do this for the rest of the episode for everybody who's watching. Looks great. This is what plastic surgery could do for you.
Combo. This is what Combo can do.
Combo. That's
also, right. Parasites. I've seen people healing from parasites for even one session, completely gone. Digestion issues, deep trauma. Oh my God, this medicine is a miracle. Mm-hmm. And for me, I take this work so seriously. For me, the Combo work is so deep. There's so much that comes through, and we're purging that. I brought the cannabis to the space so we could integrate, because every time I did Kambo on myself and then I smoked a balloon after, I had the most pure and divine experiences.
I bet.
And I was like, wait a second. It's a whole nother thing when my body's fresh and clean.
Yeah. Good
So
point.
that's how we work on the retreat. So we do the work, we do the warrior medicine, and then we go and sit with her. And then, wow, people were channeling poems. People were crying, releasing ancestral past life stuff.
Yeah.
Having so much fun. Yeah, it's so beautiful. So beautiful. I'm so grateful. It was literally the most beautiful 420 experience I've ever had.
Yeah. I know where I'm going next year.
Yes.
We'll see. But I might actually. It sounds amazing. So, okay, what was the last?
It's 420 right now.
What is up? Oh my God, it's
Basta
420, you guys. Amazing. Of course, we crossed 420 on this episode. I like that. That's right. Boom.
Yay.
420.
Boom.
Lua, tell me a little bit more about your work and what you do with people.
Yes. So as I mentioned about integration coaching, so I love doing integration coaching. And usually people that come to me are people that are wanting to work with cannabis and hape as master teachers that they can carry in their path. And are sacred space holders somehow, whether facilitators, breath work, cacao, or any other healing modality. People that are really ready to discover their potential of their inner healer and the merge of their inner artist. So I'm a graphic designer. That's what I used to do in Brazil. So I love helping artists and healers to design their sacred offerings, to create magic in the world, to birth their projects in a way that feels very authentic and that it creates positive impact in the world. So now I have a few spots for private mentorship. I see some clients privately. I also host retreats and events in California for now, but also in other places in the world. We go to Brazil as well, bringing my students to visit the indigenous people. And I love educating my people. So I do a lot of workshops and classes about sacred space holding, about plant medicines, about indigenous wisdom, and so much more. So thank you so much for letting me share here today. And I hope that those that are listening us got to have a sparkle here today for their path.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So I always ask my podcast guests the following question, which is, for you, Aluna Lua, what is sacred and what is insane?
I think the sacredness is something that is done with reverence, with respect, and often has a spiritual context of what that sacred is. So it's to enhance the settings and the symbols, the tools, the ways that we're creating a sacred space, like the desire for reverence and respect for that act that we're doing. And I think that insanity, I think we're all a little insane somehow. I was just with a friend on an event that, he's very in the default world. And then I brought him to this super spiritual, magical event. And then he looks at me, he's like, "You're actually normal." You're normal. I thought you were crazy. I thought you were crazy, but you're actually pretty normal here. So I actually love having, a foot on the insanity, which I think we're open to see life that everything is possible. I'm a loving, passionate burner. I go to Burning Man for over a decade. And there I really see that insanity is good.
Yeah.
And that everything is possible if it's sacred, if we deal it with sacred. If it's not sacred, and then, we can be insanely harmful. We can be insanely disrespectful. But if we have that reverence in our hearts, and then we can be a little insane. And I think that's how we change the world.
Beautiful. That's
and
great.
That fine line that we were talking about, that my teacher is saying, the fine line between insanity and wisdom, I think is the integration is the key.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you might talk to people sometimes that they say these things that are so, intelligent and out of the blue, and you're like, wow, this person is blowing their mind. and then you see how they live their lives. They're not taking action. They're not
There's no
doing
integrity.
stuff. They're kind of crazy. They're kind of lost. Like, it lacks the wisdom and the embodiment of even what they're saying.
Yeah. Good point. That's great.
So,
awesome.
Walk on that line.
Walk the line, baby. Walk the line. You know
Walk
what I mean?
the
Just
line.
like Johnny Cash. All right. I want to acknowledge you for being an ambassador to Santa Maria, of being a really unique person in the world that's really working on getting people to acknowledge the sacred essence of this plant and really use it for healing and creativity and in a positive context that's going to empower and uplift them and those around them. I really want to acknowledge you for like dedicating your life to that. It's dope. Pun intended.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I also want to, send my blessing to all my teachers and all the people that have supported me in this path. We're not here to do this work alone. I want to also honor you for this beautiful invitation, for this epic mission that you're holding, this epic container. I love your energy. I love your jokes. It's been such a fun time. I think it's the first time I smoked in a podcast, at least in the front of everybody.
Oh, this is very good. All right, milestones, people. Only on Lunacy. All right.
Not behind the scenes, at least in front of the camera.
Yeah. Legally in California, I might add.
Which I love it. I love that we got to share that space. Thank you.
Awesome. That's great. All right. Listen, Lunacy community, so much love for you. If you'd like to support this program, it would make a huge difference. It does make a huge difference. Go to patreon.com/Lunacy podcast. We'll see you next week. Much love. How?